Hello there. Out here once again at Leita Thompson to get another quick evening's hike in. It's been about a week since my adventurous expedition in the Great Smokies, and I'm falling further behind on my miles, so I need to take advantage and try and get some that I can here midweek. Hoping this weekend I'll be able to make up some more ground, but for now I'm going to see if I can get 2, hopefully maybe even 3 laps in here and gain back a little bit of ground. We're nearing the end of March, and I'd like to try and get a little closer to 250 miles before the end of the month, and I'm sitting at just over 200 right now. Anyway, you know, we'll see what we have to film, but this one's mainly going to be focused on getting my distance in as fast as I can. So we will check in as is appropriate along the way, but in the meantime, it's one foot in front of the other. Thanks again for coming along. Just came across this guy here having a little bite to eat on the stump down below there. He must have finally finished. He's taking a little roost, and I'm sure he'll be heading off shortly, unless our presence here has just simply interrupted his meal. But as I said, I'm always happy and excited to see the raptors in the wild. Hello there. Enjoy your meal. Well, I'm about halfway through my second loop. I'm thinking I might try for 3, but we'll see what the time and light are looking like when I finish this one. I want to take a minute to thank everyone who's been watching the videos. I know the more recent ones of my adventures in the Smoky Mountains got considerably more views than some of my earlier ones, and I'm thankful for that. I will try and come up with content that is close to as entertaining as that. But if there's any feedback that anyone wants to provide on ways in which I can improve the videos, whether it's the length of them, what's most consumable by you all, or any particular topics or things of which I film, you know, if you like the time-lapse sequences or the point of view of like this of the trail in front of me, or more with me looking into the camera narrating, you know, just give me a comment, let me know what most appeals to my audience, and I will endeavor to work that into what I'm producing. But feeling pretty good. It's warmed up again out here. It's in the 60s this afternoon compared to the freezing temperatures we had in the first part of the week, so I'm thankful for that. And the trail has had a decent number of people out on it tonight, so I've gotten to say hi to a few folk. But I'm going to keep trekking along here as I cross the bridge, and we will check in again further down the way. Well, I'm on my 3rd lap. Probably not a whole lot more to film, so I'll go ahead and give them a close out here. Gonna get probably a little over 7 miles in, and you know, I'm feeling pretty good. You know, fully recovered from my big hike last week. No concerns there, and appreciating the time change, which has given me some longer hours in the evening to try and get some of these more mid-distance hikes in after work. But I'm gonna go ahead and close it out, finish out the rest of this hike. Thanks again for coming along, and sincerely, you know, any feedback, any advice, any suggestions on ways in which I can make these videos more engaging or more approachable for my audience, please share them with me, put them in the comments, let me know. And you know, I'm doing this for myself, but I wouldn't be putting it out in a public forum if it wasn't for, you know, everyone else as well. So I want to make sure I'm delivering quality content and giving, you know, people what they would like to see within the scope of what I'm attempting to do anyway. So thanks again, and we will see you on the next one. Well, hello there. Had a bit of a technical difficulty. Brought my GoPro with me, but apparently I forgot to put the SD card back in it after last night's editing. So I'm probably almost halfway through this hike before I realized and had to switch out to my phone. So we will make do as it is. Anyway, to recap what I've already said and you haven't heard, I am out here tonight doing another after work hike at Old Rope Mill Park again. This time doing the Rope Mill Loop, so the trail that takes the name of the park. It is definitely a biking oriented trail. Lots of bike activity out here today, and the trail, as with others I've done out here, is indicative of that nature. Lots of ups and downs, sharp turns, banked sides, you know, definitely geared towards rapid transit of the bikes as they make their way through. You know, I don't know what I'll film here. I thought some good trail footage and some time lapse. I'm not necessarily going to get the same thing with the phone as I did or thought I did with the GoPro, but we will see what the sights ahead of us still are and give you updates as we go. Anyway, that's it for now for my recap and situation explanation. Continuing on, dodging bikes and having a great time. Check down the trail a little ways. See if I can give you a sense of the trail here. Again, hard packed, narrow, windy, ups and downs, sharp turns. It's a great trail to hike. Just got to keep your eye out for the bikes. Make sure you go the opposite direction. This particular loop is going to get me about probably just over 4 miles. Weather today is markedly different from yesterday when I was at Leita Thompson. Yesterday we were dealing with upper 50s, low 60s. Today, when I left the house, it was in the mid 80s, and it's still plenty warm out here. Warm weather is definitely making its presence known early this spring, and we'll see if it lasts, what kind of fluctuations we get. But given the winter we had, which was relatively mild, and now a early warm spring, it's indicative that we may be experiencing a scorcher of a summer this year. Time will tell, and my hikes will bear out the witness, but I'm not sure I look forward to 100-degree hikes. I'll do them, and I'll lose weight from just sweating it off, but, you know, well, it looks like I got more bikes coming up, so I better focus on what I'm doing. Anyway, hope you're enjoying the trail. Well, as the shadows grow longer, the times between bicycles grows more extended. Lots of squirrels out here on the trail. Had an interesting one that was up high in a tree on a very thin branch, being very still, but shouting for all the dickens at me. It took me a minute to figure out that it was the squirrel, because I could see the squirrel, but the sound sounded more like, oh, sorry about that, more like a some sort of bird of prey calling out. And I thought, he better be careful if someone's out hunting. But it was him. So anyway, I'm almost, or probably around 3 miles in on the loop, so about 3/4 of the way. And it's, like I said, a little bit quieter section, fewer bikes coming around, and trail is just more of the same, continue to wind back and forth. But I should be close to finishing this back loop and, you know, getting back on the second half of the front loop of this trail. So we'll see what twists and turns lie before me there. Don't know if I'll get much more, maybe just the final video, but we'll see. You never know. Anyway, moving on. Well, I think I've only got about half a mile or so to go on the trail, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. It's been a good hike out here. Gotten some good heart rate going. Legs have felt it, but not been overly stressed. And my distance looks like it's going to end up being around 5 miles. So a little bit more than what I thought was indicated by all trails. So who knows if there's been some slight rerouting or just a difference in path taken. Anyway, thanks again for coming along with me. Sorry about the technical difficulties, and we will work to rectify that for the next one. In the meantime, I'm gonna close this out, and we'll see you next time. Well, hello there. Pretty sure I've got the GoPro working tonight. Friday evening after work, and out here in a trail I haven't done before. Another one down in the Chattahoochee National Park area. This one is the Gold Branch Loop. It's listed at about 3.3 miles, but there's a number of cross trails that cut along the loop, so I may be able to extend this out maybe as much as 5 miles. We'll see how we go. Anyway, started this one out with, you know, as I tend to try and do, the big ascent right at the start. So it was not, you know, excessively long, but it was steep. It did go pretty much straight up, no switchbacks or anything, and good way to get the heart going right at the start of the hike. So I'm gonna keep going along, see what we see along the way, and what sights I can share with you, and we will catch up further down the trail. Taking one of the cut-through paths to cut across to where the trail runs near the river to do the little southernmost loop. So I'll do that southern bend of the turn, or the trail, and then cut back across this trail again before proceeding northbound on the riverbank. So just giving you a sense of what this cross trail is like. Seems to be well worn by water erosion, as it's probably a frequent runoff area, but trails seems to be well maintained despite that. Roots are present but not excessive, and it's a quiet walk in the woods here. We'll catch up again further down the trail. My initial view of the river as I approach it on this cross trail. looks to be running quiet this evening. I know we've got some rain coming in overnight into the morning, so this could change by tomorrow, but for now seems to be a tranquil course. So sure some people are probably out on the river at some point, getting an early start to their weekend, and I wish them all the best, as it's warm out here again, and a dip in the river might be just the refreshing break they need. As for me, I'm continuing to toil on the trail. Looks like I'm coming up on my junction point where I will be turning to the right and headed south to loop around this bend. Well, when I said this was going to be a riverside hike, I didn't mean quite so literally. As you can see, the trail runs right next to the river here. And I'll continue around this bend. Hopefully I've got a good spot to cross. We'll see as I come around there. Ah, yes, a well-placed log. You can see here. So I'll give you the front view as I make my way across. Yes, it's stable. That's good. I always like a stable crossing point. Anyway, just thought I'd give you some view of the river as I go along. I'm carrying the camera in my right hand as I do. Once I start heading to the northbound along the river, you know, the view would be to the inland side. You wouldn't get the water view. Figured I'd share it while I could. Rambling a bit tonight. It's been a long week at work, and I'm just enjoying getting out here and getting some relaxation in while I put some miles in on my journey. Anyway, trail gets a little narrow, so I'm gonna focus on my passage. We'll check in with you later on. Well, that last stretch around the bend was a little bit treacherous, so I didn't get a chance to film anything. Had to keep my eye on the path ahead. Lots of rocks, narrow slanted passages, roots, mucky spots with stones to cross. So yeah, I like a good challenge, but definitely got to keep your focus while overcoming them. Speaking of challenges, I just have realized that I've given myself more of a challenge than I expected when it comes to the difficulty of this trail. I mentioned that I had, taken the direction that would give me the sharp ascent right at the beginning. And usually when you have a big ascent, there's a big descent to go along with that. Well, I took that cut through over to the opposite side of the loop, and now I'm going back the opposite direction up that descent I was supposed to have. So instead of one big ascent, one big descent, I get two big ascents. So, well, I didn't say I was doing this to be easy, so I'll face the challenge I've given myself and continue carrying on. Anyway, I got some uphill to do, so I will catch you further down the trail. Well, I've made it back through that repeated cut across, and I'm back traveling along the river bank, this time northbound, hoping for perhaps a little less treacherous trail, but we will face it as it comes. So I'm sitting at about 2 3/4 miles right now. Might try one more cut across and back before I get to the northern curve of the trail. We'll see how we're feeling. It's a quiet night. Passed one person on the trail. I've seen one person out on a paddleboard on the river. But other than that, it's been peaceful solitude. And just the quiet trail ahead of me. And the peaceful river beside me. Well, I seem to have found myself in the land of fallen giants, as you can tell. Lots of down trees in this section of the trail. Many of them look like they may have been somewhat recent. Obviously others have been cut away from the trail, so this is an ongoing situation. I mentioned on one of my earlier hikes when I was at the, I can't remember the name of the trail off the top of my head right now, that there was a lot of down trees near that section running along the Chattahoochee. So I don't know if it's something to do with this particular area, you know, that we've got you know, climate conditions or erosion conditions, or just, you know, runoff and from construction that's weakened the trees or anything like that. But it's definitely different than what I've seen in other trails, other areas. So, you know, yeah, you get blowdowns and fallen trees, you know, on just about every trail, but usually not quite clustered like that. Here's a nice change, a little bridge to get me across a small stream. But anyway, still continuing north along the eastern side of the trail. So probably getting close to the next cut through to get back to the other side. So I'll need to make a decision as to whether I'm going to take that or not. So let me put the camera away, figure out my situation, and we will catch up further on. Spotted here, but there's a family of ducks going swimming by. Not sure how good the zoom is on this. Still working out the details of how to work it, but they're enjoying this quiet little estuary. Well, I'm coming to the end of the eastern side of the trail, about to make the northern arc, heading back towards trailhead. I figure I've got maybe somewhere between 3/4 to 1 mile left. I'm sitting at about 4 1/4 miles so far, so I've already extended the distance of this trail by a mile plus whatever I have left. So I'm feeling pretty good about the distance I'm getting tonight. I've been enjoying the scenery about, the wildlife I've gotten a chance to see. Again, lots of squirrels about, but between them blending into the leaves and dashing away so fast, no real chance to get any footage of them. But started to see a few more people on the trail, a couple of dogs. So even though this may not be the most heavily trafficked, it's still getting some usage besides myself, so I like to see that. Anyway, the section I'm hiking now is along the Morgan Falls Reservoir, which apparently is what this body of water is named. I've not actually seen Morgan Falls, so I know it's near the Chattahoochee River Trail that I've done a couple of times, so I'll have to make a point of getting out to see it on one of these outings. Anyway, I've got a little bit of a decline with some roots and narrow trails, so I'm going to put the camera up and I'll probably check in one more time to close out the video. Alright, I'm on the final stretch heading back to the trailhead. Got a bit of a descent here, but some steps are conveniently placed to help out with that. Looks like I'm probably going to get right around 5 miles on the hike today, which I am satisfied with. It's been a good hike on a new trail. I've gotten to see some things that were interesting, experienced some tranquil solitude, to think on the week I've had, which, as I said, has been a bit of a stressful one at work, and you know, look and plan for my weekend ahead. Probably wrap up the total video with this one as I look to maybe get something a little bit more substantial for the weekend, and I don't want the videos to get too long, so this will be the end of my week. I have felt pretty good about the distance I've gotten to help eat into the deficit that I was facing, and you know, if things hold together, I've got an outside shot at still hitting 250 before the end of the month. It'll take some effort, some pushing, but we will see what we can do to achieve that. Anyway, thanks again for coming along with me, and we will see you on the next trail.